In this video, we will be going over the 5 hidden benefits of silence. Before we begin, it is good to note that being silent too much is not often good, as it may draw unwanted attention, but when used correctly, it can be extremely powerful in every aspect of your life, including work, relationships, and personal life. The first benefit of silence is that it is a great negotiation tool. The reason I believe this is when I asked a successful businessman what the best advice he had was, he replied with silence for negotiation. He said people naturally want to fill any gaps of silence in sentences to prevent any awkwardness or discomfort. So when you first get an offer in whatever it is, stay silent and let them speak first by simply looking at the person. 9 times out of 10, the person who gave you the offer will immediately jump in to fill the silence. He said about half the time the person giving you the offer will correct it if they believe they were trying to lowball you in any way, because they will be thinking in their own head that you somehow caught on to what they were trying to do. When negotiating, people never give you their best offer first. So by being silent, they will normally reveal to you where they feel that they tried to take advantage of you in the deal. Steve Jobs famously used the tactic of silence when hiring people and for meetings. For example, when asked by Apple's then CEO, Gil Amelio, what role he wanted to play in the company, Steve Jobs could just tell him that he wanted his job as CEO, but instead he used the tactic of awkward silence to deeply think about that question before answering it in a way that might harm him. It wasn't just Steve Jobs who used this tactic, as Elon Musk has also adopted the tactic of silence. He uses it in a similar way to Steve Jobs, as he was one of Elon Musk's idols. The second benefit of silence is observing and taking note of other people's behavior. By being silent and observing other people's behaviors, it gives you the chance to read them better than you could if you were speaking. By observing their behaviors while they speak, you'll be able to pick up on body language cues that allow you to tell if someone is being truthful or not. This is useful in almost all settings because if someone is deceiving you and you pick up on that, then you'll be able to make better judgments regarding that person. While most people are thinking about what they're going to say next to contribute to the conversation, you'll be studying the person and analyzing their speech and body language, which will give you a better read on that person. This will help significantly if you are potentially doing business with that person or you want something from them. You can watch the reactions while they speak and potentially understand what they value based off of the reactions to others' speech. The quieter you become, the more you are able to hear. The third benefit of silence is that you'll be able to control your speech. Whatever you say cannot be taken back. Once you say it, it is said. By thinking about what we say before we say it, it gives us the opportunity to thoroughly think about responses to questions rather than just saying the first thing that comes to mind. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment that you regret? If you said yes, then you're like the majority of people. Anyone who has ever said something out of anger will most likely tell you that they would have rather been silent than to lash out. Even if you meant what you said, I'm sure that looking back at that moment, there would have most definitely been a better way to handle the situation. Now, this is obviously much easier said than done, but if you can think and control your emotions before speaking in that heat of the moment, you will benefit greatly because you will have had time to thoroughly think about the best plan of action to communicate your thoughts on the matter. Abraham Lincoln said, quote, "Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt." The fourth benefit of silence is becoming more likable. If you don't already know, most people love to talk about themselves. Simply by listening to whoever is talking to you, it will make them believe you are great at holding conversations, because by not speaking, it gives them more of a chance to talk about themselves. And even though most people won't admit it, the majority of the time, people only really care about their own issues and not the issues of others. So if someone is venting to you about something that is going on in their life and you sit there and listen, they'll perceive you as a much kinder person than if you went on about whatever it is that's happening to them happened to you once or somehow relate it back to your life. If you think back to some of the kindest people you know, ask yourself if those people are loud, arrogant, and speak what comes to their mind. Well, if you're like most people, then you answered no. Does that mean that those people have less thoughts than the loud people? Of course not. They just choose their words much more carefully than the people who speak whatever comes to their mind. This can be difficult to change, but it will benefit you in the long term because you'll be perceived as more wise and knowledgeable. People value good listeners for that exact reason, and when you have the ability to put your thoughts aside and just observe and listen, people will love you for that. The final benefit of silence is having your words carry more weight. What I mean by that is people will value your speech more if you are silent more often. For example, if someone is constantly rambling about random topics and is known to be constantly speaking, it devalues their words. People who are more quiet generally have created more respect for themselves when they speak because they speak less than the average person, which makes people value what they say more. When people don't respect what you have to say, that is when they do things like speak over you or interrupt you, because they do not value your opinion enough to be silent. This happens when people speak whatever is on their mind, say dumb things, or are constantly talking about themselves, which devalues their words. The people who speak less are listened to because they are considered more wise. Have you ever noticed how the kids in school who are considered smarter were always significantly quieter than the kids who were considered dumb? This is not a coincidence. This also includes being straightforward, being direct, and getting right to the point of what you were saying, rather than beating around the bush. People enjoy it when others are direct because it means they are talking less, just like what we were talking about before. As long as your directness is not rude, it is always more welcomed over rambling. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, and if you would like more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well so that you never miss an upload.